In this video, I'm going to show you how to install some wall mounts for your guitars. I'm rearranging my studio here, so I bought some guitar hangers by Omniwood off of Amazon. And this video is not sponsored, but I do have some affiliate links below if you wanted to check these out on Amazon. No pressure. This is the package it came in. Nicely packaged. So basically, you know, it comes in separate pieces. It's gonna hook together like this. There's two in this package, and then this is the part that gets screwed into the wall, and this part will screw into here when we're finished. And we'll be able to mount our guitar on the wall. And we'll just see what else is in here. So there's a package of hardware with some sturdy anchors. So there's two different types of anchors in here. And I just saw this when I was looking online. So the ones that look like this are actually for concrete. And the ones that look like this are for drywall. I'm gonna avoid using anchors. These are actually sturdy anchors. These are better anchors than I thought they'd be. But I would much rather screw into a stud because, you know, you never want to have your guitar fall out of the wall, and an anchor is supposed to be strong. You can tell me in the comments that I'm, you know, being overcautious if you want, but that's just how I feel. And then here are some user manual directions. So all I'm going to use today, I'm gonna use a drill. I'm gonna use a tape measure. Maybe I'll use a tape measure. And I'm gonna use a flashlight. And I'll tell you why in a second. So you could just use the flashlight on your phone or whatever. But first things first is that I'm gonna wanna get some stuff out of the way, because I'm gonna mount these behind me, and I don't want all, you know, the sawdust, the little bit of dust from the drywall and whatever to fall on my amps. I'm gonna show you how you can find a stud in the wall. So there's a couple different ways to find stud. There's little tricks here to find studs, right? Anytime you have an outlet anywhere, anytime you have like a door or a window, there's gonna be studs around that type of stuff. So there's also, the reason we have the flashlight is because if you have any drywall that joins together, you may be able to see a seam through the paint, or you may be able to see imperfections from when they were puttying it. So we're just gonna look for something like that first, because I just want to show you, you know, if you're looking up this, and I don't know if this is going to be easy to see, but I was just looking at this the other day, and you can see that that looks like there might be a nail or a screw underneath that. And this makes sense too, that it would be right here, because when you step back, right below this, we also have an outlet. So that's going to be one stud right there. So you might also want a pencil, because we just want to mark where we're going to mount this thing if we think we found a stud. So now that we know where one stud is, we can use that to figure out where the other studs are. Because when you have a house that's framed out, a wall that's framed out, unless it's a really old wall, all the studs are typically 16 inches apart. So here's where we can use our tape measure after we find the first one. But I'm just gonna try and install the first one, and we'll get going here. All right, so let's say we're feeling pretty confident we know where the stud is. Well, you're gonna wanna take a drill bit, and you're gonna wanna take the smallest drill bit that you can find. And the reason for that is because you're gonna put the smallest hole in your wall possible in case you're wrong. All right, you gotta decide where you wanna hang this thing up. So I'm thinking if the stud's right here, maybe have the top of this thing 10 inches from the top of the wall. And in this room, I have the wall's a little lower, so it's a little funky the way it's set up. That just gives me a guide hole to see if I can push this in. And you can tell when you get some resistance that I hit the stud right there. So I could tell right away that I hit the stud, which is a good thing. I want to apologize about some of the camera angles in this video. It's just that my assistant didn't have his glasses on today. All right, so now that we have our first hole there, you want to take out one of your screws. And the reason you want to do that is because you're going to need to pick a drill bit. And you want to pick a drill bit that fits the diameter of that screw and without the threads. So something about the same size as the screw without the threads. Same size as the screw without the threads. And you're gonna want to drill a hole, especially when you're going into a stud. You're always gonna want to use a drill bit. Little trick to get this to tighten down, just grab that. So that hole is started now. Just have to grab a Phillips head bit with a screw. What you can do is you can put this block in now. And you don't want to tighten this all the way down, but you can get it there. Get an idea. And it should go in pretty easy. And the reason you don't want to tighten it all the way down is because we haven't done the next screw hole yet. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to mark it while this is in the wall. And this is where a level would be very nice. It wasn't on the list of things, but you're also going to want a level. Let me grab one. We got the level. All right, I don't think I've ever done a job where I thought I had all the tools I needed, but didn't have to go get more tools at some point during that job. So now that we have this level, we know where we can put this other guide hole, right? To start the other one. We already know we're on a stud, so we don't need to do the small drill bit again, because we already know where the stud is. Once you get that bubble in the middle, get that hole started, and that's all we're doing is just getting it started. We're not going to be able to go all the way through until we move that thing out of the way. Once we do, grab another screw out of our little bag of parts. Drop the bag on the floor, because why not? And then we just want to make sure we get this in the hole before we start drilling it. Then you can tighten these down. So that's 90% of the work right there on one of them. And then you just take this, and on these Omniwood ones, I got the black walnut, I think it was. It's got this nice little looking thing to cover up the screw on it. You just push this over this, and then you just take this into the middle hole here and just twist it in. Then you want to test it out with one of your guitars. Oh yeah, that looks nice right there. So if you're hanging up two of them, you're gonna need to find another stud. So you wanna figure out where you want that other guitar to hang. And this is where you could try and use your flashlight trick again. You can look for anything in the wall. I don't have any more outlets in this wall. I don't see any other glaring imperfections on this. So you can use, there should be a stud. Obviously there's one right there. There should be a stud in this closet thing I have built into the wall here too, framed around that. So if you use that, you can start trying to find another stud. And if they're 16 inches apart, studs are 16 inches apart in newer built homes, then it should be right around here somewhere. And I'll just grab another guitar, try and make sure I know where I would want this thing hanging, because I don't want it right next to the other one. And I think that would actually be good, because if I tried to go for whatever studs right here, these would be right next to each other. So I think if I can take this stud and use it, it'll work out. Get my drill. Put in the small one again. We are looking for a stud, we want the small one. One thing, we want this thing, remember we measured it from the ceiling originally, and it was 10 inches down from the ceiling. We want to do that again. And 10 inches down from the ceiling is not probably where you want it on a normal wall. If you can see, this wall is, I'm about 6 feet tall. This wall is about 7 feet. So if you have an 8-foot ceiling, I'm in my basement, and this is just where some pipes run through. So you want to take into account, where are you? What's your room like? If you have an 8-foot wall, then you're not going to want it 10 inches from the ceiling. That's going to be pretty high up in the air. You're probably going to want it, 18 inches from the ceiling or something like that. So if I just use this to measure where 16 is, just put a little mark on the wall. It's pretty close. So same thing on this one. I know where my 10-inch mark is. We're gonna see if the stud's here or not. That's just gonna get the hole started. I hit the stud, I could feel it. So if you don't hit the stud, your drill bit's just gonna go right through. As soon as you hit the back of the drywall, which is like 1/2 inch thick, it's just gonna push right through. And if you hit the stud, you're gonna feel a lot of resistance. With that, we can pick up our bag of screws that's on the ground. If you by chance have 2 drills, then you could put your Phillips head in one of them, and you could put your drill bit in the other one. Some of us aren't that fortunate though. Same thing here, we're gonna wanna get our bigger drill bit back on. Gonna wanna get that level out that we now have down here. Get your screw back out. All right, so that's in now. Next part is just to screw on the finishing touches. Voila. This is going to be the new background for most of my videos, so let me know what you think. If you like it more than my old background, let me know. If you like that plant over there, I'm doing a good job taking care of that plant. I mean, look at it. Look how green that thing is. I'll tell you right now, that plant doesn't even need water. There's no sunlight in this room. There's not one window in this room, and that thing is going to be thriving. Thriving. Bet on it. All right, guys. I'll talk to you soon. Thanks for watching.